This morning, or yesterday morning, I should say, when I was getting ready for work and I watched on the bus on the way to work, I saw a video that Dr. Wolf put out. The video was entitled, Chrysalis is going to save Equestria? He brought this up because of the numerous scenarios that he noticed with how the mid-season finale, which came out this past weekend, the Mean Six, how it played out, and basically how it ended. He pointed out that for a brief moment when the imposters, the Mean Six, were going after the tree, that most of the elements, if not all of them, temporarily went black, as if they were poisoned, tainted, corrupted. And he brought up a scenario that this could either lead to several things. One, the main six in time, because the tree itself was corrupted by the mean six's presence, that the now corrupted tree of harmony could end up slowly corrupting the main six, if not the main seven, thus slowly turning them in to what Chrysalis had created in the episode. And that this would be a situation to where it would be up to Chrysalis, of all characters, to probably have to step in and save Equestria because of the corrupted main six, main seven, being as such due to the temporal influence and corruption that the mean six had put onto the tree. Another scenario that he brought up, very similar, if not a little bit different, is the fact that in time, the mean six make a return. I believe Dr. Wolf pointed out that the branches that were colored the same color as the mean six was still present, and that perhaps in time something will occur that will cause the mean six to come back more powerful than ever because of the corruption of the tree, which would slowly become more corrupted as time went on due to the influence that it was getting from that dark magic that it basically, in a sense, drained out of the mean six when it disposed of them at the end of the episode. Now, Dr. Wolf pointed out a scenario to where Chrysalis could notice that even though it took a while, her plan to get revenge on Equestria and a revenge on the main six and Starlight Glimmer was finally coming to fruition, but even though she would be ecstatic about that, she would notice that the mean six would not just that basically she would notice that the mean six are not just going to stop at certain points of Equestria or certain pony tribes and all that. No. Dr. Wolf put up a scenario to where the main six or main seven, along with several others like Celestia, Luna, and Cadence, could come to the conclusion and realization that Chrysalis is the one behind this. And that she's probably the only one that can help stop them, especially when realization comes in that the mean six are not just going to stop with conquering earth ponies and Pegasi and unicorns and alicorns. No. That they're going to conquer all lands in Equestria and beyond, and that includes the changelings. And think about this. What does Chrysalis care more about than revenge? What does she care more about than trying to conquer the world? Her kind, her changelings. And despite the fact that they have evolved into these changelings that embrace love and give love, instead of doing the opposite like they originally did, despite their changes, Chrysalis, in a sense, still cares for them. She does. She still cares for them to the point that she will be willing to help even her most mortal enemies defeat these corrupted versions of Twilight and her friends. And thus, she would end up being, in the end, the one that would probably help save Equestria. And yes, as some people would probably guess, a redemption would happen. A redemption that, as Dr. Wolf puts it, could be slow and more meaningful. Like I said, could be slow, but more, and thus mean more when it comes to her final, overall redemption. But will Chrysalis end up saving Equestria because of that? I can't really say. I mean, the potential that Dr. Wolf pointed out is there. There is no doubt it's there. But the writing staff would really have to consider, how do you put Chrysalis into play for that to happen? Do you do that scenario, that story, in a season 9 premiere? Or do you save it for the finale? The finale of the series. Do you save it for that? See, those are two questions that, if the writing staff wants to do that, or do something similar, would have to ask themselves. Do they want to do it at the beginning or at the end? But then the question would be, if Sombra and Grogar are the antagonists for the start and finish of the season and the series, how does Chrysalis come into play? Again, how does Chrysalis come into play? And the way I look at it, Chrysalis could end up taking on the role of a Tempest Shadow. Chrysalis, as some people have been pointed out, has been reduced to more of a, I wouldn't say comedic villain, but I would say more of a desperate villain. Someone that's willing to do whatever it takes to get back at those that she feels has wronged her. And Chrysalis is being put into that position, from what I could see, that she might team up with a Sombra, she might team up with a Grogar, pledge her allegiance to them. In return, that not only does she get her revenge, but perhaps she also gets her people back, her kind back. And maybe she gets a piece of Equestria to rule over. Only in the end for her to find out that either Sombra or Grogar was never going to live up to the end of the bargain, just like the Storm King never lived up to his end of the bargain with Tempest. And that, right there, finding out she was going to get stabbed in the back anyway, her people were going to get conquered, maybe enslaved, that would be enough for a character like Chrysalis to want to put her differences aside with enemies like Starlight and Twilight and the rest of the main 7, and help them defeat the villain that she thought she could trust. That being either Sombra or Grogar, and thus in the process she ends up slowly being redeemed and thus evolving into the changeling that Thorax and the other changelings have become, because of the fact that the reason behind her decision to switch alliances is not only to save her people, but because of the love she has for her people, the love she has for her kind. And that, to me, if they want to play with the idea of her saving Equestria, might be just as good as an idea and scenario to work around and play with, and play off of, or play around with, as the scenario that as the two scenarios that Dr. Wolf presented. And I understand some people don't want to see Chrysalis get reformed. They want to see an established villain stay an established villain. But let's be honest, folks. We know we're getting to that point. If you've watched animation as long as I have, then you know when a character like Chrysalis is put in the position that she's in, that this is just the first step. This position that she's currently in is just the first step in her being redeemed. And whether or not they go with one or two of the scenarios that Dr. Wolf came up with, or they go with two of the scenarios I came up with that are similar in a sense, kind of play into that whole idea of her wanting to get revenge, and thus through several scenarios and steps, ends up resulting in her helping to save Equestria. The thing, like I said, we're at that point now where all signs are pointing to that. But it's up to the writing staff if they decide to go in any of those directions. Some people are probably thinking that Mean 6 is the last time we'll ever see Chrysalis. I don't think so. Because like I said, one of those two scenarios that I came up with for a premiere will probably work. And maybe one of the scenarios or two of the scenarios that Dr. Wolf came up with could work if, and this is a big if, there's a 10th season added on. That season 9's not the end, but the 10th season, a whole decade's worth, is the end. Again, Dr. Wolf has some good ideas. He has some good scenarios and theories, I should say, after what happened at the end of the Mean 6 as to where Chrysalis' future could lie. But I too have theories and scenarios that are similar, if not identical, kind of tie in to the same idea as Wolf's does, that I believe could be the direction they go in with Chrysalis, that I believe the writing staff go in. What I'm trying to say, I'm sorry, it's a little late. Basically, what I'm saying is they could end up going in the direction that Dr. Wolf talked about, one of those two scenarios, or they can end up going in one of the directions that I mentioned that are similar to what similar if not identical in a sense to what Dr. Wolf said, for either season 9 or maybe a 10th season. Who knows? But I think either way, will Chrysalis play a part in saving Equestria? I would say yes. Will it play out in the scenario ways, in one of the several scenario ways that Dr. Wolf pointed out? Who knows? Will it happen in one of the several scenario ways that I pointed out? Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But let me know what you think down below. Comment if you like, and I'm out.